Go ahead. Transportation Safety Meeting, January 22nd, 2017. Our employee of the month for the month of January is none other than Miss Jonzetta Evans. Miss Jonzetta Evans is our employee of the month. And next we will have our perfect attendance from the East Side employees who have perfect attendance and the West Side employees that have perfect attendance. Directly following is our safety time. Our safety time is about reviewing accident and breakdown guidelines by Miss Rose Sablatura, the Academy Director.
Reviewing accident and breakdown guidelines. This is from the Transportation Handbook. An accident is any occurrence that in any manner marks the bus or another vehicle or property. The school district, of course, requires any occurrence to be reported in writing. An accident form must be turned in immediately. Failure to report an accident or an incident in the bus could result in suspension or termination. If you have an accident or breakdown, the first thing you're going to want to do is turn off the engine and set the parking brake. It is important to set the parking brake so that if you're on an incline, the bus won't roll while you're out of the seat and you could end up in another accident. And of course you would want to notify the transportation department and let them know that you've had an accident or a breakdown. You want to protect the scene of the accident. Do not leave the scene, even if you've been hit and run by another driver. Do not move the bus unless directed to do so by a police officer or administrator. Assist the injured, of course. Provide first aid. Check with your children and make sure that they're okay. And transportation will call 911 for an ambulance. And they will also notify law enforcement, They will also notify law enforcement. Okay. Get the information required on the accident form. So you will need to speak with the officers, the witnesses, and the other driver to get all of the information required for the accident form. Get names of witnesses. Get the names immediately. Don't let your witness get in his car and leave, and when you look around and need your witness, there won't be a witness. So make sure you get their names before they continue to go where they were going whenever they became a witness. Do not discuss the accident with anyone except law enforcement officials or school authorities. There will often be media amongst the crowd that gathers around the accident, so you do not want to talk to someone and not realize they're media. Complete your seating chart for the police, the campus administrator, and for the transportation administrator. This is something that you want to begin as soon as you have checked the children and contacted the information to transportation. If students are moved to another bus, all necessary equipment must be transferred to the replacement bus. This is often what has to be done when a special needs bus is in an accident or a breakdown. The drivers are responsible for transitioning the equipment and tracking its whereabouts. Equipment will need to also be transferred back to the original bus once it is repaired. Note, do not leave students unsupervised during a breakdown or an accident. You need to be very, very close to your students at all times. Parents may not pick their child up from the scene of the accident unless the campus administrator authorizes it. Overview. So initially what we're looking at is that you do not take students home and then report an event. You use an accident form, not an incident form. Keep students calm and seated for safety. Prepare the triangles in advance for quick placement. And it's safer for the students on the bus unless there's fire. So do not remove the students into an area where they may be struck by a vehicle or something of that nature.
Transportation employee expectations. The handbook states, the conduct of all bus drivers, bus attendants, as well as any employee of the school district should be an example that children can use as a guide in their personal and educational growth. Employees must not use profane language in the presence of the children. Use of such language will be grounds for probation, suspension, or termination. Additionally, traditional buses do not turn down cul-de-sacs or dead ends. Traditional buses do not, I repeat, do not turn down cul-de-sacs or dead ends. Also, please know that we as drivers are responsible for the behavior on the buses. If you have ridden a child up several times and they are still out of control, ask an administrator for assistance. Do not be afraid to come to an administrator in regards to the behavior of a child when you don't know if anything has been done on behalf of the school. The administrators are here to bridge the gap between the drivers and the school. You must know also that it is unlawful to operate a school bus with children standing in the aisles. It is unlawful to operate a school bus with children standing in the aisles, which means that it's against the law. It's not only an Aldine policy, but it is an actual law. We shouldn't listen to the radio on buses with any type of electronic device. This includes, but not limited to, laptops, iPads, iPods, etc. We shouldn't listen to the radio on our buses with any type of electronic device. This includes laptops, iPads, iPods, etc. Every transportation employee expectation can be found in the 2016-2017 Transportation Handbook. The very next thing that we'll view now is the Aldine Independent School District's 80th anniversary video. This video was created by our communications team to commemorate the 80th anniversary of Aldine ISD, which we celebrated on last year. We will also be showing this for all the job fairs that we'll be having in the upcoming month of April. We have a job fair on April 1st, April 8th, April 22nd, and April 29th. And this is one of the videos that we'll show to give people a brief history on what Aldine was founded on and how it got to be where it is today. The 80th anniversary video.
In the early 1800s, Aldine developed around the railroad that ran through the area. Over 100 years ago, this area was called Prairie Switch because a train switched engines at this point along the railroad. In those early years, many people moved to Aldine from other places. Travel in Aldine was not easy. The roads were just dirt trails and some people traveled by horse. People did not always live close to town and some children had to travel miles to get to school. They walked to school or rode horses. In 1932, voters passed a bond referendum to build S.M.N. Marr School, what is now Lane School. This was the first permanent two-story brick building in AISD. Today, there is a cornerstone that still bears the legend, Common School District Number 29. This is the district's oldest standing campus. In 1935, the residents voted to merge the four communities in Common School District Number 29 into the Aldine Independent School District. AISD acquired part of the White Oak District in 1937. This added portions of Acres Homes to AISD. Included was the White Oak School, which became the district school for African Americans. Leaders later renamed the campus Carver Elementary School and finally A.B. Anderson Elementary School. It is the second oldest campus in AISD. While World War II broke out in Europe in 1939, Aldine ISD reached a student enrollment of 1,100. By the end of the war, AISD reached 3,000. In honor of the many heroes of the war, several high schools bear their names. Douglas A. MacArthur, Dwight D. Eisenhower, Chester W. Nimitz, and Benjamin O. Davis, Jr. In the fall of 1948, AISD opened another high school. This campus was officially named Aldine High School. A portion of the building forms part of Aldine Middle School today. The school's 1935-era wood-frame gymnasium and auditorium burned to the ground November 19, 1948, along with the adjacent old Aldine schoolhouse used to handle overcrowding. In the 1950s, a large number of African Americans migrated into Acres Homes. This led to the construction of a new building in 1954. The campus is Carver High School today. As enrollment surpassed 5,000 students in 1952, classroom overcrowding draws a warning from the state.
In the 1950s, Aldine, like most of the suburban school districts in and around Houston, were growing at a tremendous rate, and that involved bond issues and new construction and tax increases, which were never popular, and they weren't popular in Aldine in 1950.
Then tragedy struck again. The main part of the original Aldine High School building burned down in 1954. 2 years later, the new campus opened at its present location. W.W. Thorne was named superintendent of the district in 1958 at the height of Aldine's financial problems.
In the spring of 1959, and the school was running out of money, the board told the teachers, "We can't pay you, we don't expect you to work." And so the teachers didn't show up for work.
Overcrowding, lack of funding, and an incompetent board raised red flags. AISD lost its accreditation from the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. The district needed more money to remain open. Mr. Thorne headed to Austin and convinced the legislature to pass a law that allowed Aldine to sell $100 time warrants.
We sold the $200,000 worth of time warrants and reopened the schools. A host of them were purchased by members of the community. On Saturday night about 9 o'clock or so, one of the girls from the front desk came back to my office and said, "I think you need to meet this fellow." There was a black man from Acres Home who had a paper sack, and his statement was, "We've been saving this for the family vacation, but my kids are not in school and they need to be, and I want to buy one of those bonds." That kind of commitment from parents makes an impression.
Within the year, Aldine's accreditation was fully reinstated. Between 1960 and 1966, the district has a massive building program to catch up and meet growth needs. The district built 11 new campuses. For 6 decades, Aldine flourished as a rich farming community, but the tranquil community countryside underwent a drastic change in the early 1970s. Shopping centers and residential developments sprang up everywhere. Superintendent W.W. Thorne retired in 1973, and the board named M.O. Campbell to succeed him. The board had come a long way from its troubles in the 1950s. In 1973, Aldine received the Outstanding School Board Award from the Texas Association of School Administrators. In 1986, the board named M.B. Sonny Donaldson as superintendent, after M.O. Campbell retired. Mr. Donaldson's career began in 1967 as a teacher and coach at Aldine High School.
When I graduated from college, we had two opportunities. One was up in Hereford, Texas, and we went up there in April, and the wind was blowing about 40 miles an hour, and it was about 50 degrees, and my wife said, well, what's the other choice? And I said, well, it's in Aldine. She said, where's that? I said, it's in Houston, or outside of Houston at the time. And she said, well, let's go take a look. And the first visit here, I won't forget, we got caught in traffic on I-45. We were supposed to meet Jimmy Haley, who was the principal at Aldine High School, at 7 o'clock, he and his wife Alva, for pizza and get to know each other. Well, we rolled in there at 9:30. The pizza was cold, but the welcoming was warm. And it was a great time.
The changing demographic profile that began in the 1980s transformed Aldine by 1990. The once white majority semi-rural area was gone. It had become a minority-majority urban community. In 1990, the average Aldine resident was Hispanic. With this change, the district's bilingual program grew rapidly.
In order to continue that educational growth in our students from pre-kindergarten through graduation, we organized the district around vertical teams, with each high school having a middle school, elementary schools. And when we looked at that for the first couple of years, we thought, well, we needed to go further. And we added pre-kindergarten centers because of the large number of limited English-speaking people that were moving into our school district. And we couldn't have done this without the vision of the board and the buy-in from the community. And I think the community supported us in a tremendous way.
The plan worked. AISD earned 7 recognized ratings from the state between 1996 and 2003. Football fans celebrate big in 1990.
Aldine High School won the state championship.
30 yards to go. He'll pick it up. He'll get into the end zone, and Aldine will strike with a huge touchdown.
And ESPN named them the #1 team in the nation. The Texas Association of School Administrators bestowed Aldine with the Outstanding School Board Award in 1998. The American School Board Journal also honored AISD Board of Trustees with a Magna Award. Mr. Donaldson retired as superintendent in June 2001 after 37 years in the district. The board named Nadine Kajava to succeed Donaldson. Mrs. Kajava, an Aldine High School graduate, began her career in Aldine in 1962. She began as a second grade teacher at Olson Elementary School.
My name is Nadine Kajava, and I've spent my whole career in Aldine ISD.
Superintendent Kajava's tenure was marked by more district honors and continued change in demographics.
A change agent for us was Hurricane Katrina. Many of the New Orleans refugees came to Houston and were dispersed throughout the city, and Aldine received many of the students of those refugees.
By the time she retired in 2006, enrollment rose to nearly 58,000 students. Dr. Wanda Bamberg succeeded Mrs. Kajava in 2007. Like her predecessor, she moved up the administrative ranks after serving as a teacher.
I think that favorite memories for me in the district have really been the celebrations over the years. I enjoy and have enjoyed celebrating with campuses their 50th anniversaries, celebrating with students at events, celebrating scholarships for kids, recognizing staff members at the employee dinner every year, thanking people for their service. Those are some of my best memories, because those are the things that bring a tear to your eye. Those are the things that make you feel like when you're going home late at night or coming to work early in the morning, you know that it's worth it because our students are being served by great people and great staff members.
The district made national headlines when in 2009, the Broad Foundation named Aldine the winner.
One of the biggest highlights I think that anyone would name, it would be winning the Broad Prize in 2009. That was a huge accomplishment for the district, a great recognition for our teachers, and it really was not just the culmination of work since I had been superintendent, but for many years before me, we had been on that road to the Broad Prize.
The $1 million prize benefited students in the form of college scholarships. Since 1995, Aldine ISD has added 28 schools. Campuses are at or over capacity.
As of September 15th, 70,569 students. That growth is expected to continue.
Aldine has a small district environment, even though we're a large district, 10th largest in the state of Texas. But you can walk into any of the administrator's office, and if they're there, they will talk to you.
The district feels that every student in our district is important and that every student in our district deserves every opportunity to advance. Our motto to produce the nation's best is not a trite statement. It is really something that we take to heart.
An 80th anniversary is a great milestone. And it shows years of experience, years of dedication, years of work, and years of changing to meet the needs for our changing population. When we talk about the future of Aldine, it's difficult to think about the future without thinking of the past. I heard M.O. Campbell say once in a luncheon, "The reason I can do what I do is because I stand on the shoulders of giants." And that's a quotation often attributed to Isaac Newton, and I'm attributing it now to M.O. Campbell, also one of our great leaders who is not represented here today in person, but certainly his legacy is apparent in the leaders of today. But that is true, that in order to look to the future, we are standing on the shoulders of our predecessors to see their vision and their commitment and their ethics about what we do for kids in Aldine.
When I graduated from high school, I went to college on a scholarship from Aldine PTA. And when it came time to look for a teaching job, Aldine was the only place that I looked for that job. We hear a lot about giving back to the community, and I think the catchphrase now is paying it forward. And that's what I think I did.
It is a thrill to me to see what's happened to the school system. It was really a high point in my career.
It's just a great place to work. You know, you come here as a 23-year-old first-year teacher, the idea you're going to stay a couple of years and get some experience and go back to the country. And all of a sudden you wake up, it's 2001. You had a great time.
Administrator announcements by Dr. Metcalf.
Good morning. So I'll be going over the administrative announcements today. I do want to let everybody know that Here Comes the Bus rolled out successfully. This is the GPS program that we demoed to everyone about a month or 2 months ago. The application for the parents is called Here Comes the Bus, and so it's very important that everyone continue to follow their route sheet as written, because the parents will be looking for that information when it shows up on their app. Any deviations from the route will show up on their app. But we do have, let's see, as of this morning, we have about 3,000 parent accounts, and they're monitoring about 4,000 students. So we are looking at just over 10% of all of our students' transportation is being monitored. Again, that's the buses, not the students. The parents have access to the buses that the students are assigned to. Another point that we want to make sure we address with everybody is the Accident Review Board. Drivers and attendants can be brought before the Accident Review Board. And attendants, that may be a surprise to you, but I want to review this with you again. If a driver is backing up a school bus, it's the attendant's responsibility to go to the back of the bus, physically get up, walk to the back of the bus, and be the eyes and ears, be the guide for the driver. If the attendant is in the back saying, come on, keep going, and then that driver runs into a vehicle, yes, both the driver and attendant will be before the Accident Review Board. If the Accident Review Board determines that the driver and or attendant need to go need to go to the training academy for remedial training or retraining, That's the expectation. If the schedule is set out for a driver or an attendant to go to the training academy Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then the following Tuesday and Thursday, it's expected that that person is going to show up. If the person does not show up, then they're putting their job in jeopardy. They're subject to disciplinary action at that point. Also, drivers, please make sure you're checking your cameras. You want to make sure that the green and the yellow lights are on. That means that your camera is working properly. This is your protection against false claims against you. If those lights are not working, please let us know. You're going to want to make sure you write that up so that Marcos and his team can fix it on the west side, and Doug and his team can get that fixed on the east side. But those cameras protect you. 100% they protect you. I can't tell you how many allegations have been made in the last month. Sadly, allegations have been made against drivers and attendants in the last month, and those cameras have been able to prove it was completely a false allegation. So again, it keeps your reputation intact, it keeps your career intact, and it saves face. It helps the district maintain. All right, next topic this morning is the transfer fare. I'm not talking about the transfer fare for employees, because I know you guys are not transferring. You're staying right where you are. Transportation is your home. We're going to keep you here, and we do not want you to transfer to child nutrition or anywhere else. Please stay with transportation. No, we need you, and we love having you here. But transfer fare for students. Everyone in the district received an email. There are deadlines in that email. If you have a child that is a student here in Aldine that needs to transfer from one school to another, please be mindful of that email. If you need help, if you did not receive the email, come see somebody so that we can make sure we get you that information. There are deadlines that you need to know about, and if you don't meet those deadlines, then I think there are additional fees that you have to pay. Again, if you have a student in Aldine and you transfer them outside of your attendance zone. Next topic is the facilities next year. If you've been in the 1960 Aldine Westfield area, then you know that the north side facility is under construction. They are hanging sheet metal this week. That building will be ready for us this summer. So most folks know already where the routes are going. Remember, we worked with traditional routes, we worked with magnet routes last year, and got everyone set up so that they would know where their route was going for the 17-18 school year. Special needs routes, we had a meeting with special needs drivers and attendants a few weeks ago, and relayed most of that information to most drivers, but we still have a few exceptions in special needs, and we have a few exceptions in the magnet program that we've labeled as to be determined. We hope to make a final decision with those routes here in the next few weeks, and we will get that information to you. But if your route is not scheduled to drive out of the facility you want to drive out of or want to work out of, it's your responsibility at this point to really pay attention to those open postings and look at those and try to make moves and apply for routes that will get you to the facility that you want to work out of. We will have 2 more postings during this school year, so you'll have 2 more opportunities to apply for routes to move around the district, and we will have at least 1 more posting during the summer. We will send that date home with you on the end of year letter. We will supply you with the date that that posting will be made so that everybody's informed, no one feels left out, and you'll know exactly when you need to come to transportation and view those postings. If you have any questions about that, please do not hesitate to get in touch with us.
And now we will have remarks by our Executive Director, Mrs. Robin Derwin.
Good morning, everyone. And I promise what I wanted to do was just piggyback along with the video we saw about Aldine celebrating its 80th year as a school district and the wonderful things that it has done and can and will do for you and your children if you live in this fine district or you work in it. So time flies fast, and many of you up there have been here longer than I have, but I came in 1990, and when I tell you 17 years went like that, 17 years goes like that. And so with that being said, I have a hard time with this. But I have turned in my retirement, and it's still a struggle. But I have loved being here with you, and you have been a big part of my life, and I really have loved transportation. Thank you. So it is my time to bow to you for your years of service to us, and thank you.